on, everybody? I'm Jason.
I'm Mabel. I don't.
This is Tennessee Mountain Homestead, and today we're back out in the shop working on Mabel's 2001 Murray wide body. Last episode, you saw us get it running, and we put inner tubes in all 4 tires to get her on the road. Today, we're going to replace the carburetor, the ignition switch, and give her a trailer hitch. Stay tuned, we're going to get right into it. Since last week's episode, I've procured some parts. I got a complete wiring harness from eBay. I got an ignition switch from eBay. I got a carburetor from eBay. And I got a trailer hitch from Tractor Supply. I'll put a link in the description below for all these pieces and parts. And I've also downloaded a wiring diagram because somebody who owned this tractor before or at the scrapyard, someone took a pair of pliers or cutters and just chopped out the entire key switch harness and it's missing from the dashboard. So I think that's the first thing we're gonna do is replace that. So in order to replace the wiring harness for the ignition, I think it's gonna be easiest to take the gas tank out because the wires are under here. Let me move my hand. As you can see, they're cut right there. So if this gas tank wasn't there, it'd give me a lot more access. So I think we're gonna disconnect the fuel line from the side of the carburetor and let what little gas is in here drain into a container. All right, so we've got a pair of needle nose vice grips pinching the fuel line shut. Mabel and Colt are holding the bowl for me, and we're gonna slip this fuel line right off the carburetor. Oh, woo. And now, okay, guys, put the bowl down lower, Put it on the ground, down there like that. Yes. All right. I guess there was no gas in it. There ain't got no gas in it. Guys, go put the gas tank over there. So over here at the workbench, I'm going through this wiring harness that I bought from eBay, and it is exactly what we needed. And I'm glad I went this route because this cost just like $2 less than just getting a key switch harness from an aftermarket supplier. So I get the fuse that goes to the solenoid, I get the headlight harness, and I get as much length as I need on the key switch harness, so that way I don't have to worry about them being too short. Now, I'm going to cut right here because this is where it's cut on the tractor. And now we have the complete harness that we're going to replace into the tractor. Now, we're either going to use butt splices or solder. I got to see what I got. More in a minute. So while we're working on the wire harness, Colt is taking off the cut wires from the starter solenoid, the fuse, and the ground. The screw is on the, not that one, Corcher, it's the one down on the side. It's right there on my fingers. See it on the side. All right, so we're ready to put the wire harness back in the tractor. Colt took out the other wires that were cut. This is the new harness that's going in, and we're not gonna solder them. We're gonna use butt splices. Mabel, if you would give me a butt splice, please. These are 18 gauge red crimp-on splices. And what we've got is a pair of Klein Tools wire crimpers. So before we put it in the tractor, we're gonna crimp it on this side so we'd only have to crimp the other side when it's in there. Why do we need a key switch on your tractor?
So it can done.
So we can turn it on,
No, so it can 1,
so it can run.
2.
Let me have another one. What are you gonna do with your tractor, Mabel?
Drive it.
You're gonna drive it?
Yes.
Where are you gonna drive it?
In the backyard.
In the backyard? Are you gonna drive it in the garden when we after we till?
No.
Are you gonna pull a trailer and pick up rocks?
Yes.
Let me have one of those. Cole, what are you gonna drive?
111.
The 111?
Me.
Is that your tractor?
Yeah.
Whose tractor is the 111?
Mine.
Yours. All right. Well, let's see. We got one more. Let me have one more. Oh, thank you, buddy.
Oh, Daddy.
We're halfway there.
Daddy needs more.
No, that's it. Look. So we got red. The other red comes from the solenoid. 2 yellows, an orange, and a white. And the purple, the violet, comes from the headlight harness. So we've got everything we need. And then this spade terminal is the ground for the back of the key switch. It's gonna go right here on this post.
Oh.
That's the black. And then this plugs into the other 4 terminals. All right, Colt's gonna go ahead and tighten back up the nut on the top of the starter solenoid. So next we're gonna put in the key switch. And Mabel's gonna help me. I'm gonna take this, the key body, put it up through here, just like that. And now, she's gonna put the washer on it. And now this nut. Here, it doesn't just push on, sweetie. You gotta turn it like this, watch. Hold on, let me get it started for you. I can't even do it. Okay, hold on. I think I got it. Okay, now turn it all the way down. Stefan, grab us a wrench, an adjustable wrench to tighten this up, please. All the way till it stops. She can do it, Cole.
Done.
All right, now we're gonna finish it up. Now that the key switch is installed, we're gonna go ahead and put our terminals on so that we know how long the wire needs to be. There we go. So now, we've got our butt splices that we did over on the bench. And they need to match up with these wires right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and just strip these wires back and crimp them into the corresponding colors right there. All right, so we're in the process of butt splicing these wires. And if you're gonna use heat shrink, always remember to put the heat shrink over the wires before you butt splice them. So we got the wires all spliced, the key switch is installed, and I was trying to troubleshoot it. So the headlights don't work with the key switch, but the harness, the key switch is probably the issue because the harness is fine. If I jump the hot to the light circuit, it works. When I have it plugged into the back of that key switch, it doesn't work. But it does turn the motor over. So for today, we're gonna move on from this little issue. It's probably just a key switch. I don't know if it's configured wrong. If there's a bad contact inside the connector itself, it doesn't look like it. It looks clean to me. But that's a problem for another day. We're gonna plug this back in and move to the carburetor. So as I was just saying in the last clip, the key switch does work to start the motor. Go ahead and hit the clutch. The mower is not engaged, the mower PTO, and check it out. So we've got the motor turning over, and we should be good to go now. We'll replace the key switch at a later date if it's the issue, so the headlights come on.
No, don't need it.
All right, one at a time, guys. Let Mabel do that, and then you can do the next one. Now, hold on, let her do it. Take it all the way up, good girl. Now take off this plastic part. Very good. You know, you might be tight. You have to get the air filter off next. Good job, bud. You have that. Cool. All right, so what do we have to take off next?
This.
I think we have to take off the screws over here. Look, they're these two bolts right here.
Daddy, I know how to do it. Daddy, did I do it?
Yes.
These two.
It's gonna be these. There's a nut right here and one on the other side that you can't see in the camera. And that'll take off the intake for the carburetor, the air cleaner. Okay, now use your fingers and take off the nut all the way. No, the other way. The other way, spin it to the left. There you go. Good job. Now there's another one back here you have to get. Okay, can you get it off with your fingertips now? You don't need the wrench, it's very loose. See?
No, I can't. Maybe I
Here,
can.
what you can do is take this off, and then just put this on it, unscrew it, this piece, just turn this, okay? Turn to the left. I think you got it off. I think it's ready. Pull it out. Got it off? Very good.
No.
Just like that. Okay, just be careful, don't go ripping stuff. See, it's connected to something, I think. Yeah, there's a hose. See under here?
Yeah.
Just like that. There we go.
This is it.
All right, so we ran into a little problem. This carburetor is the same carburetor with the body and all, but different linkages. And I've already looked to see if I can take out the butterflies and put that linkage on this, but I don't think it's possible because they look different. And I think the reason this was not running good before is because there's no return spring on the choke. So the choke is closed right there. Well, let's say the choke's open. You go on here to the throttle and you choke it. Well, when you release it, it doesn't unchoke. It stays closed. There's no return spring like this. Spring like this one here snaps back to its home position. So I think we can just fix this carburetor by fixing the choke problem. It also leaks fuel from the bowl. There's a screw down here that it drips fuel when there's fuel in the bowl. But maybe we can solve that issue too. Right now, I'll look into further seeing if we can change out the butterfly valves to get these linkages because they're not even close. If not, we're just gonna see if we can put a return spring on the choke and see how it runs after that. So Colt's gonna go ahead and take the carburetor off so we can get a better look at it because there's definitely a spring under this choke mechanism but the spring seems to be either broken or the arm that's supposed to wrap around the little stud on the carburetor body is busted off or slipped off, one of the two. Got the linkages off. Let's put it up on the bench and see why it's leaking, and if we can fix that, and if we can fix the spring. Alright, so closer inspection. We've got both carburetors up on the bench. This is the eBay one. This is the one that came off the motor. Now they are very similar, but they're not identical. I don't even know if I put this one, the eBay one, on there, it would work. However, the bowl on the one that was on the motor was leaking because the bowl drain screw did not have a gasket. Now, the one that came from the eBay carburetor happens to be the same thread and it has a gasket. So I'm just going to thread this one right back in its place. And the return spring on the choke is not in fact broken. It snaps back how it's supposed to. It's not very powerful, but it does. So that means maybe we can mess with the choke actuator on the motor. It might just need to be bent or loosened up so that it'll spring back when it's supposed to. Or we can add a return spring external to that piece. Let me see this. You singing, baby?
Yes.
Alright, so hopefully it doesn't leak anymore. Let's put it back on the mower and see what happens. We got the carburetor back on the tractor, the original carburetor that was on here before. Like I said, we put the bowl screw from the eBay carburetor on there because it has a gasket. And now I bent this little choke linkage because it was flared out. It was bent, flared out. It was creating friction in the slot that it rides in. But now, when I actuate the choke, it closes and then it opens back up like it's supposed to. Because the spring does in fact work. So the choke issue is fixed. Hopefully the leak problem is fixed. We've got our throttle spring, our governor spring, and we've got our throttle linkage back on this. So now we're going to put the air cleaner back on it and see if it'll fire up and run like it's supposed to. Okay, so another little quick update. When I put the air cleaner on, the intake manifold, if you will, and then I hold it in place where it's supposed to be, and I actuate the choke, there's a piece on the choke linkage that hits the air filter right here. It's this little plastic stud that sticks up off here, and it's hard, you won't see it on camera, but if I put this where it's supposed to be, when this thing tries to rotate, that little stud hits directly into the air cleaner body. Almost like this carburetor was also an aftermarket eBay special, and it inadvertently holds the choke shut because of that little stud. So I'm just gonna hack that off of there and see what happens now. And it works perfect. Look down in there and watch when I actuate the choke. Closed, it springs back. Springs back. Just like that. That little plastic stud was causing all those issues, I think. So another issue I noticed while we were down here is the muffler is loose because it's missing a bolt. I guarantee that's probably a 3/8 16th thread. So we're gonna find another bolt, take this one out, and I think that's why this thing was also so loud before, and it was blowing exhaust out the front, making leaves and stuff move as it was driving. That might be your problem. Let's see how we can fix that. Okay. All right, guys. So this bolt's missing, and this bolt is still intact, and I had to very gently finagle this so I didn't break the bolt off. It just rusted pretty good. But now I got it loose. I'm gonna let Mabel Grace take over and finish taking it out. You gotta pull up really hard. There you go. All right, guys, hey, listen, one person at a time. Let Mabel do it, Crusher, okay? Ready?
Yeah.
You have to hold it straight, okay? Stand. Maybe you want to stand up and pull up on this because it's not easy. It's hard to pull up on it. Up. There you go. Teamwork. We might just have to do a custom exhaust. All right, I think you guys got it.
Yes, we got it.
Sure did.
I did this super fast.
Okay, so that's what's going on. We're just missing a bolt. So we need to go out in our bolt bin, and we need another one of these this long, or we can just use threaded rod and a nut on the outside. All right, so the bolt that came on this muffler, the one that was holding it on, was bent. I cleaned it up, but it was warped from just being on there, getting hot, and only being one. So what I did, I cut 2 pieces of threaded rod, a little bit longer than they need to be, and now the muffler goes right over where it belongs. Colt's gonna hand me the hardware. We're gonna put these nuts on there, tighten them down just a little bit. There, this one. And cut off the excess rod that's still hanging out because the hood has to close, I think, around it. Let me see if it's gonna work. Oh no, we don't need to cut that. Go ahead and tighten it up, buddy. No, you gotta turn it the other way. There you go.
Don't do fast.
Just take your, you don't have to do it very fast. Take your time, but you don't want to make this super tight because you'll crush in that thin muffler metal. You just want the lock washer to seat. Check and see where you're at. Take it off. Oh, you got a ways to go. Good job, buddy. Keep going. I'll tell you when. You'll feel it get tighter. You feel it getting tighter? Okay, now do this one. Don't do them both. Don't do one all at once. Is that one getting tight? Okay. Now go back to this one. All right, guys. Another quick update. I got the carburetor back on. The muffler's back on with actually 2 fasteners now. It's nice and secure. We're missing a screw for the air cleaner that's right here, but I don't have that thread pitch. I don't know what size it is, so we're gonna have to figure that one out. I think it's close to a 1/4 28, but it could be smaller. Anyway, that's not super important. What we're gonna do next is put the gas tank back in this and put a little bit of gas in it, see if it'll fire up and see if it'll run properly. All right, so we're about to start this thing up. I did find a screw in some of my parts bins that worked. Not sure exactly what size it is, but that's in there. And we're gonna go ahead, put the air cleaner back on.
Don't do it like this too. Why not?
All right?
There's no better heat that can do that.
You're gonna help us. You're gonna sit on it while we start it up, okay? Okay, that's good, buddy. All right. Let's put some gas in it because it ain't got no gas in it.
That's funny.
Just a little bit.
Daddy.
All right, here we go. All right, the good news is it runs. The bad news is it still breaks up. I guess at this point, I just gotta take the carburetor apart and clean the jets. It doesn't want to run wide open. It runs okay at part throttle like it did before, but when I try to put it all the way up as fast as it'll idle or run, it just starts to stumble and break up. I changed it. All right, welcome back. I say welcome back because it's been a few hours since I was out here working on this tractor. As you can see, the kids just got back from Awana over at Poplar Grove Baptist Church. They had a good time there. Everyone say hi to Nana.
Hi.
Everyone say hi to Mima.
Hi.
Everyone say hi to Great Mima.
Hi, baby.
All right, so quick update. What this boils down to, I believe, the carburetor that was on this thing when I picked it up from the scrapyard is yet another Chinese eBay carburetor. I took it apart to clean it, thinking maybe it was dirty inside, and it is in fact pristine. It's brand new, and it looks like, or just like, every other carburetor on eBay, and very similar to the one I bought from eBay. So this thing runs good at part throttle and about up to 2,900 RPMs. The engine needs to be able to get up to 3,600 RPMs. That's its rated speed. The governor should have it there, but it won't get that high because it starts breaking up. When it breaks up, it stumbles and it won't go any faster. And what happens is it starts puffing black smoke out of the exhaust, which tells me it's way too rich. Also, something else that happened when I was messing with it earlier is as I was sitting here running it with the throttle, it actually, I had my RPM gauge on it, my tachometer, and I'll showcase that here in a minute. But I was trying to play with the throttle and see if I could get it to go faster, and it started going faster. It got up to about 3,500 RPMs. It sounded really good, like normal. And I thought maybe there was some carbon buildup in the motor or whatever, and it was good to go, and we were at that tipping point where it just needed to be ran. However, as soon as it started running really good, it conked out and shut off, and that's because it was out of gas. So that also tells me that it was a lean condition, which was letting it run better, I think. So I'm convinced the carburetor jetting is wrong. It's an aftermarket carburetor. It doesn't work for this motor. I've been down this road before with the 111. I bought an eBay carburetor. Didn't work at all. It ran like junk. I ended up going back with the other carburetor. I just kind of rebuilt it, cleaned it, and it works perfect now. So besides that, another thing that happened was after it ran out of gas, I filled the tank up about halfway with a gas can and immediately noticed gas going all over the floor, dripping all over inside the engine compartment because there's a crack in the gas tank I never saw before. And it was about halfway full, and that's the level it needs to be at to start leaking out. So the gas tank ain't no good. It's plastic. I'm not going to try to repair it. I'm going to get another one, either the same thing, aftermarket, or a used one, or I'll get some kind of a metal gas can that'll fit in its place. So it needs a gas can. But I also noticed that, if you recall earlier today when we were doing the wiring and troubleshooting the wiring, the headlights would not work. Well, it turns out they do work. They work after you turn the key all the way to start it, and then back one notch to the headlight position. They come on while it's running. I don't know if that's a diode in the circuit, or if that's just something inside the key switch that it has to go all the way to the right and then back to make contact. Because you can't just put the headlights on from after when it's off to headlights, it won't come on. But it works after it's running. So the wiring is good. I think the engine is fine. I think the carburetor is the issue. My immediate solution is to take the carburetor I bought, because there's a chance the jetting in that thing is right. However, it has the wrong linkages on top to meet up with the choke and the throttle cable. What I'm gonna do is try to take the choke and the throttle cable off of the carburetor that's on there that works with everything, and put those linkages on the carburetor I just bought. If it works, hopefully it'll work. If not, we're not going to have a carburetor for this thing for a minute, because I'm going to have to find an actual carburetor that Briggs & Stratton makes, either used or new, because I'm not going with another $18 or $13 or $18 Chinese one. So that's next. I know it's been a long-winded explanation. That's where we're at. So the next thing I want to do is show you how it runs right now. And I'm going to put the tachometer so you can watch that happen. We're going to open up the garage door. It might be a little loud. You can see how the RPMs are, what it'll run at and what it won't run at, how it stumbles, and I'll show you the headlights. That's pretty cool. At least that works, right? And then I'm going to try to swap the carburetors. All right, here we go. It's going to be loud. You might not be able to hear me, but Ethan's going to do his best to come over here and get this stuff on film. I'm going to start it up and show you how it runs. It'll even idle down really low, and it idles nice. That right there is about as fast as it'll idle or run without breaking up. And we can also kill it with the key switch too. So the wiring's 100%. Let's get that carburetor addressed. If we can't fix it tonight, we'll just get another one. Okay, I just got the carburetor off the tractor. This is the one that was on it. Now, it doesn't have any stampings that say Briggs & Stratton. It doesn't say Nicky on it, which is who would have probably made this. And there's another brand, it starts with a W, I forget off the top of my head. Anyway, this looks a lot like every eBay carburetor I see. And it's basically brand new. Like, there is no age on this thing. There's no way it's 23 years old. So this is the one that I bought from eBay, but they're got some pretty stark differences to them. Like the one that's on there doesn't have the same air passageways around it that correspond with the manifold for that tractor. This one's got a metal fuel intake, which is kind of hard to find. I was looking for that on eBay when I bought this one. This has a plastic intake. This has a air fuel mixture screw that has, it's like a needle that goes into a hole in the throat of the carburetor. This does not have that. And as you can see, the throttle linkages are completely different. This is the one on my right hand that would have worked on the tractor that the linkages go to correctly. This one, not even close. So what I said earlier is my plan is to take these linkages off this carburetor and put them on this carburetor in hopes that this carburetor is jetted correctly. Now, I can't just either simply swap the jets. I had this bowl off earlier. Inside, it's just a bunch of plastic. There's not your typical float. I mean, there's a float in there, but it doesn't work with a needle and seat. It's different. There's a complex O-ring gasket in there. I don't even think I need to open that back up. This one has a typical float, needle and seat, and a jet that you can unscrew. This one does not have a jet you can unscrew. So this one is actually, I could change the jet, maybe, if I had to. But let's get started and see if these linkages are gonna cross-reference. All right, so I just unscrewed the 2 Phillips head screws off the butterfly. There's the butterfly, and now this linkage comes right out. Let's hope that this linkage works with this linkage. I mean, this carburetor. I don't want to strip that. I need a different screwdriver. Oh, got it. They look identical, at least some of these parts. I can't imagine that all these Chinese carburetors don't incorporate some of the same parts. Man, that bottom screw is gonna give me problems. I don't want to push too hard on it and bend it either, bend the shaft. But it wants to cam out. There it goes. All right. That's that one. Gosh, please be the same. Looks like it's gonna work. All right, I was able to successfully switch out the butterfly. So this is the carburetor that we want to try. Now this is the butterfly and the linkage that we want. This came out of this carburetor. As you can see, this one's empty now. And I was also able to pull out the choke levers, the choke mechanisms. They're just made out of plastic, and these choke butterflies just push in, and they have dimples to stop them. They just slide in through there. There's a slot in it. Anyway, problem is, this choke rod doesn't fit in that hole. So what we're about to do, it doesn't matter at this point, is we're gonna measure the diameter of this with a pair of digital calipers, which happens to be 15/64, and we're gonna drill it out with a 15/64 drill bit. Put that in there. 15/64 going in on my precision drill press. That's just die-cast aluminum. That was easy to drill. Probably got all the shavings down in a jet. But we need to also keep going and drill out the bottom where it rests down in the bottom. I should have done it. Hey MacGyver, You got anything on me? I hear crickets. Alright. Well, we're gonna have to drill a little deeper, I think. Unless that's gonna work. I don't think it is. We're gonna have to drill down a little bit more.
Yep, really much.
It's on a hammer.
That don't make hit your hand.
I don't want to drill clean through it either, because then it'll be into the bowl. Let's see where we're at.
Less.
I cannot afford to drill through that. Within this whole operation will be pointless. Now it stops on the stopper. So that's sitting right about there. We're close to going through. I don't think I should drill much more. Maybe just another hair. That's all she wrote. I don't want to drill anymore. I'm scared I'm going to drill through and it's going to end up into the bowl. But if it did, it ain't gonna hurt nothing because there's no circuits in there, and this will be in the hole, so it's not like fuel's gonna come up through there. Because it needs to be a touch deeper. It really does. Let's try that. I think that's what we want right there. Oh, it needs like another millimeter. Why am I talking in commie measurements? So close. Let's see if we can just get this on it.
He doesn't need this. It's good.
Oh, it doesn't fit into the mouth of the carburetor. Maybe it does. So after about 20 minutes of messing with this thing, and I kept having to run the drill down that bore, but I got the other linkage from the other carburetor that we need, and the correct butterfly, and the choke works. This is the choke plate that was in this carburetor before, but this rod came from the other carburetor. It works together, like I said, with a little bit of fitment, but now we're gonna try this carburetor on the motor and see if it'll run it at higher RPMs. Hope it was worth it. Here we go.
But there's still a chance that it might not work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are the odds?
That works.
Will it even start up?
All right, the carburetor's back on. And this is the moment of truth. Was all that fitting and drilling and messing with these two Chinese carburetors to make one worth it? Let's see. Here. Open the door. All right, here we go. Not good. Perfect. Give me 5. Give me 5. We fixed it. Your tractor's fixed, Grayson. What are you gonna say? Tell them. What are you gonna do with it now? Anyways, I'm really happy about that. I don't have to buy a $200 carburetor. It works. The other carburetor just had way too much jet. This thing sounds great. I need to adjust the governor. That's why it won't go up with the throttle to 3600, but I can put my finger on there and make it do it. So if I just tighten up that spring, there's a little piece of metal in there I gotta bend, it'll pull the governor arm back more and I'll be able to get that 3600. So that's a win. And right now, we're gonna button this thing up, call it a night, and we'll see you guys in the morning. All right, everybody, it's the next morning. We had a great night last night. I got this thing tuned in. It's running like a top. Just a few minutes ago, I came in here and I bent out the little tab on the governor arm to make it have more RPMs. At full throttle, it's running about 3,500, which is perfect. Now, we need to address a couple more things. It needs a gas tank, and I was looking online last night and this morning for gas tanks. A direct replacement on eBay is gonna be about $100, and that's questionable because it's off of a used machine, just as old as this one. So it's prone to have cracks in it already. And besides that, the other ones on eBay that are brand new come from China, you know, and they're still like $60. So I got to thinking about it, and I said, you know what, we have a mini bike that we're gonna be building soon with a junk motor on it, literally a junk motor. So it's got a gas tank, a steel gas tank on that motor. It's sitting right over here. Come take a look at this. So like I was saying, this engine's junk. It doesn't work, and the side cover is missing off of it, but it's got a good gas tank. So we're gonna incorporate that gas tank onto Mabel's tractor. And the other thing we're gonna do is put this trailer hitch on it. I've already got it marked out on the back, so we're gonna cut out a hole for it, grind away the finish, put it in place, weld it in, and then we're gonna get to work on the gas tank. That should be it. Hopefully, we'll be riding tonight. Just like that. It took me about 15 minutes to cut that out, grind all the paint off, weld it, and I sprayed it back with some Rust-Oleum gloss black. All right, time to get this gas tank off next. We really got to get this done because Mabel's in there eating lunch, and I want this done so she can drive it today. We're very excited, and she's very excited. So that's 2, there's 1 more. So the gas tank is out of the mini bike, and it had this plastic, I guess there's a filter on the end of that, and it threaded in, and there was the hose. I think that is going to be too small for the requirements of the 12 horsepower engine. So anyways, that's plastic. I've got a bunch of brass fittings with 1/8 inch threads, and I'm gonna tap it I'm gonna make this 1/8 inch with this tap, and then I'll be able to thread in a nipple of my choice. Whether it's that one, they all have 1/8 inch thread on them. So let's see how this starts. Let's see how this works. And we need to clean this gas tank out. It smells like an old muscle car that's been sitting for 20 years. All right, gas tank is cleaned out. I've got a brass nipple, 1/8 inch NPT, threaded into there after I used a tap to make it 1/8 inch NPT. It's nice and tight. I cranked it down with a socket wrench and I put sealant on the threads. That should be nice and sturdy. And now I need to make a way to mount this into the tractor. I'm going to incorporate the same studs that they used for the mini bike. There's a stud here, and then there's one that threads in this side. So I got to come up with a device, probably a piece of bar stock, honestly, that'll go across the console in the tractor to catch those two studs. And I think it's going to sit in there like this. Check this out. Just like that. It could even be like that. Oh, that's even better.
That is perfect.
It's almost like it was meant to be. Look, it's even got the U shape. All right, so let's get busy on that. And hopefully, you're going to be driving this thing a little bit.
Daddy, that's perfect.
It is perfect. So I'm trying to figure out a way to mount this gas tank in that console of that tractor. So the first thing I did, I don't want to weld on this tank at all because reasons. But I took a piece of bar stock here, flat 1/8 inch bar, and I drilled out 2 holes to go over top of these 2 studs. It's now bolted on there. It's even got rubber isolators. So then the next thing, I just bent a 90-degree angle on this. And what this is going to be, I'm going to drill a hole in this and hopefully incorporate the hole. There's a hole that's right there threaded into the metal. I'm going to bolt that in there. I'm going to cut it off here, bend it down, and weld it there. So now I've got an external structure that bolts to this gas tank. Then we're going to be able to weld to this structure and weld a couple of pieces of support, angle iron or something, across that console that this will set on, and I'll be able to take the gas tank out, and it'll just be a much better deal than if I just welded this gas tank. Plus there used to be old gas in this tank, so I don't want it to cause any fires or anything like that, or mess with the structure of the gas tank, possibly even burn a hole through it and then have to chase that with the weld. All right, we finally got the gas tank installed. I'd like to say it's really great the way it is. It's nice and solid. And I also made it so that the gas tank would angle slightly downhill to where the plug is on the bottom that the gas comes out of. Anyway, if you can see in here, there's that 3/4 inch square tubing. Here's the gas line, and it bolts to the sides of the console. So that holds a gallon. That should be more than enough to drive around the barnyard some. We got the wiring done, the trailer hitch is done, but otherwise, we are ready to ride. What do you guys say?
Yeah!
We're gonna take this thing out in the barnyard, we're gonna get all the tractors, and we're gonna send it tonight. But first, I gotta go get some gas because there ain't no gas in it. worth it. Mabel's super stoked about it. If you're new to the channel, please like, comment, subscribe. That really helps us out. Once again, I'm Jason.
I'm Chase. I'm Mabel. I'm Toad. And I'm Presley.
This is Tennessee Mountain Homestead, and we'll see you on the next one. And for great Mima, Nana, and Mima, the kids wanted to do a chicken dance. Ready? Do a chicken dance. All right.
See you later.
Tennessee Mountain Homestead,